Welcome back to the channel, everyone. I hope you guys are having a super fantastic day today. Man, it's been a super long time since I've done like a face cam for a video. Probably should have looked a little more presentable. Anyways, guys, we are taking a look at Cyberpunk 2077. So I finished this Cyberpunk last night. And wow, I got a lot of kind of mixed feelings on it. Just to make things simple, we'll kind of go through the pros and cons of things I liked versus the things that I didn't like. We'll go with the things that I didn't like first, just to get all that negativity out of the way first. So the first thing that right off the bat, that a lot of people notice is that there's a lot of cut content. I don't have a list in front of me to see, all the stuff that was cut, but I just remember from the trailers, the one thing that I was really looking forward to was how you have the mantis blades. They're the blades that come out of your forearms, and it showed him freaking crawling scaling the walls and stuff like that with them, and that is unfortunately not something you can do, which is kind of a shame because that looked so fun. Another real big issue that pretty much everyone is talking about was the glitches, man. First off, this review is for the PlayStation 5. It's not the PlayStation 5 version because that's not out yet, but it's me playing the PlayStation 4 version on the PS5. But anyways, the glitches, I had lots, don't get me wrong, I had lots of glitches, but I didn't have anything that I feel like was game breaking, I guess, that took me out of the experience. Okay. Technically I did. I retract that. I had lots of crashes. Not necessarily glitches, there's nothing that glitched that made me so upset that I rage quit the game. But the freaking crashes were insane. I got Cyberpunk just like everyone else on release, and I played all the other versions, and yes, there was the graphical glitches a lot here and there, but nothing that I was oh no, look out, this is terrible. But man, the game would crash on me literally all the time, and at first, it would be after I played for a long time, but then after a while, it just was random. There was a few times where I literally logged on, played for 10 minutes, the game crashed. And then rebooted it back up, game crashed again, and then I played for about an hour, and then the game crashed, and then I was like, you know what? I'm done. We're not playing this until the freaking game is fixed. And at that point, it was still, I think, the 1.4 or 1.04 version or 1.05, and I did not pick it back up again until it was a 1.1 version, or 1.10, or yeah, it's 1.11 now, but anyways. And ever since that update, the game only crashed on me one time, and it was right at the end when the credits were rolling, and the game crashed, and I was like, whatever. So I just turned it off. I was like, I beat the game, is whatever, I'm done. But thankfully, after that 1.10 update, I didn't have any crashes. But yes, crashes were definitely a big thing, and honestly, the reason that the crashes made me so mad is that, so on the PlayStation, I'm pretty sure this is the same for the PS4 as well. I didn't really have any games crash too much on the PS4 now that I'm thinking about it. But the PS5 it'll pull you out and it'll say a screen that it's trying to diagnose the problem, right? And so it literally get all the way, it's like a percentage bar, all the way to 95%, and it would sit there. And I let it sit there for a while because I thought the first time I was like, okay, well, it's gonna, try to, fix itself. And it literally sat on that screen at 95% for 20 minutes. Granted, I was doing some other stuff, so I wasn't just sitting there staring at a screen for 20 minutes. But, and the reason it made me so mad is that whenever it crashed, I literally had to hard reset my PlayStation, because the PlayStation, even PlayStation 5, doesn't even matter, because it's trying to figure out what is wrong with your game, because it's doing its, you know, self-diagnose thing, trying to figure out what's wrong with the game. But the PlayStation itself doesn't know that what's wrong with the game is that it is freaking broken, and it's never going to figure out why it's not working. So I literally had to hard reset my PlayStation. I'm not even kidding, every single time that it crashed. Even on the last time when it did like the last crash during the end cutscene, end credits or whatever, I still had to reboot it. So that was a real big thing that just really just made me so mad that I was like, you know what, we're done until this, you know, the big February update comes out, because this was actually in December when I quit. I didn't even play at all in January. I played other things. But yeah, that was bugs and glitches. There's lots of bugs. And some of the glitches, I guess I had a few big ones. Like there's this one mission where you're hired by someone to go pick somebody up out of a refrigerator way on the coast, and I pulled him out, or opened the refrigerator, and he came out and just exploded. And so I like looked everywhere for him. I could not find him, and the little tracking meter had him inside the room, and I was like, he's not here anymore, he blew up. And so I had to restart that mission. And then the same mission, I pick up the guy, I'm holding, you know, have him over my shoulders, and I'm running, and then I start taking fire, so I drop him, and I'm on a staircase, and stairs, and when I dropped him, he kind of like fell in between the stairs and the wall. And at the time, you know, I'm fighting all these enemies, and then I went to go pick him back up, and it would not let me pick him up. I tried shooting at him to get him out. I tried throwing grenades. Like, nothing I did could get him out of freaking stuck. And so I later had to restart the game again. And so I had a few times that were like that, and it was mainly people getting stuck inside of things. Yeah, so those were, you know, the bigger crashes and glitches, at least for me. I did have a few times where I saw a random car like blew up. Like, I didn't get footage of it, unfortunately, but I called my motorcycle, and it comes in, it stops, and the motorcycles do like this thing where it stops on its front brake, and sometimes if you're facing the wrong way, it'll flip over for you, or, you know. So it came up, stopped, blew up, and I'm like, well, crap. Let's see, another thing that I would say is a con is that pretty much all the enemies were freaking like bullet sponges, man. It didn't matter what the DPS was on the gun, like nothing. Like I feel like I had to shoot them like 100 times for them just to go down. Doesn't matter, even if it's point blank and you're shooting this dude in the head with a freaking pistol with like 800 DPS. Doesn't matter, it's still gonna take you 5 shots, at least 5 shots. Unless it's with a sniper, because a sniper did one shot, you know, if you got a headshot, you did one shot everybody. But yeah, the guns were just, or I shouldn't even say it's guns, it's more of the enemies were just all friggin' bullet sponges, man. They just soaked up so many bullets. Another thing, moving on to the next one, is the cars, man. The cars were just really, I guess vehicles in general, the cars and vehicles were just really hard to control, and the traction on the road was just terrible. Like, you'd barely turn at an intersection and your car would literally like spin out or crash into stuff. I mean, it was just very difficult to drive, and it actually made me not want to really drive the vehicles, you know, the motorcycles or the cars. Despite getting some really cool ones, I just didn't really want to because the driving sucked. There's plenty of games out there that are like race car or driving type games that have done driving better. And it's just kind of unfortunate because they looked so cool, and a lot of the stuff in Cyberpunk looks really cool in the atmosphere, and it's just like driving's not fun. Which kind of is I guess a pro for this next part, kind of a pro, but not really. I mean, I'll just say it. I'm just glad that they had lots of fast travel points, much more than The Witcher 3 did, at least that I think so. I think that this one has a friggin' ton. There's literally fast travel points like every block, it seems like. So I guess because the cars were crappy, I'm glad that there was lots of fast travel points, because that's what I mainly did. I just fast traveled everywhere. And that's not something I normally do, especially in like RPGs, open world games. I like to explore, I like to go places, I like to see the world, and it's just really unfortunate that, you know, Cyberpunk made it really hard for me to want to do that. Moving on to the next con. I know there's a big list of cons here, is the freaking hand-to-hand combat or boxing was just freaking terrible. I thought it was broken, and I friggin' hated it. I literally did not like a single boxing mission. I did 2, right? Or actually, I did three or 4. The first one, I won, and so I was like, oh, this isn't too bad. And you know, it didn't even matter whether because when you do a mission, it says how dangerous it is. I literally did a match that said low, like the boxing match said low, because my level was much higher than the guy's level, and I still got freaking wrecked. Now I didn't really upgrade anything into the hand-to-hand combat, but that's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking like I wasn't even close to the guy. Like when you're boxing and you're really far away, and I could see him swing, miss, but then my health bar freaking goes down. I'm like, dude, you didn't even hit me. But somehow he freaking hit me, and it doesn't make any sense because I've been literally beating the crap out of this dude, and like his health bar goes down like 2%, 1%, 1%, 2%, and then he literally punches me and it's like 99%. Like literally every time I did the boxing matches, doesn't matter who you are or who I fought, I almost got one-shotted almost every single time. So the boxing, the hand-to-hand combat was not fun. Granted, during The Witcher 3, I didn't really like it in The Witcher 3 either, so I just don't really... CD Projekt Red, I feel like their strong suit is not boxing or hand-to-hand combat, so they should just get rid of it. Honestly, I didn't like it in The Witcher, and I don't like it here either, so... The thing in Cyberpunk is that they have this huge world that's, you know, filled with technology and, you know, advancements, and the buildings, and the city is massive. Night City is massive. That's the city it's called. It's Night City. And it's so huge, but it's just so empty. And that's the thing that's really weird. Like the whole time I was traversing Night City, this big old city that they talked about how people would have their own lives and do their own, you know, things within the world that, you know, like a regular city, like people are living their lives, was not really the case. Like, yes, there was people on the streets, but it literally felt empty. Like, for this massive city that they really hyped up to be, you know, like New York, or actually bigger than that, like freaking huge. And it just really felt like a ghost town. Like, walking down the street, there's plenty of times where I'm running down the street doing a mission, or not even a mission, just, you know, exploring friggin' Night City. And there's plenty of times that there's like one person on the street or nobody on the street. Like, not even cars. Like, the traffic, there's no cars, you know, so it's just kind of sad because I felt like it was just empty. And honestly, like, they have what's called like the nomads that live outside of town, basically like the Eastie Beasties per se, and they live way out in the desert. And I felt like there was more life outside the city than within the city itself, which is totally backwards. There should be more things going on, more people than, you know, than outside the city. So, you know, kind of a disappointment. Moving on to the next one, man, the freaking thing that I did not like at all was the freaking cops, man. The freaking cops are so broken, man. It just, you could literally attack somebody and the cops are just right there. And not even just one or two. Like, I literally had times where I accidentally hit somebody with my bike, and I literally had like 6 or 7 cops within, like, just automatically spawned right next to me. There was no like driving up, there was no car chases, there was nothing. They just appeared and they do a frick ton of damage. And yeah, dude, the cops are freaking broken. I even tested it. Like, I went, and the cops will shoot you just for standing in front of them for too long. Do you want a death wish? And then they just freaking start shooting me within like 2 seconds. It's freaking ridiculous. And they'll stay there, they'll keep hunting you, so you literally have to run extremely far away, like outside of the area, so it reloads, because you can't even fast travel if you're near the area where the cops are, because the fast travel points say disabled. So freaking the cops. Going into my last kind of con for the video was the, I guess, RPG slash, I guess not really RPG, the first person aspect of this RPG. I didn't really like. Like, they give you, so you go around and just like any other RPG, you loot stuff, you loot weapons, you loot cosmetic options like clothes, armor, you know, freaking sunglasses, like all these things, which is awesome. But you're in first person. Like, it just didn't make sense to me. Like, cool, I have all these super freaking awesome like cosmetics that I can see when I push the pause button. Like, and there's, or if I look into a mirror, which I really like, why would I need to look into a mirror? It just didn't make any sense. Like, and sometimes you would see yourself in reflections, like the first part of the game, when you fix your broken nose, you see yourself. But it just didn't make any sense to me. And it, like, The Witcher was, you know, an RPG, and it was fun to see how, you know, I like to customize my character. That's a thing that I love. And that's one reason why I love freaking RPGs so much, is because I get to customize it the way that I want it to look. I literally just got done playing Demon Souls, and RPG, I get to make myself look how I want it to look. And Cyberpunk having like one of the best, I think, customizations for your character, like when you first start out, like down to all the face stuff, like they just put a lot into customizing your character. And it's just kind of a shame that you can't actually see your character, minus like the one cutscene at the end of the game where it shows your character the final scenes of what happens to your character. So, and it's not that I don't like first person games, because I mean, you know, shooter games are fun. I mean, I don't mind first person games, but it's just when it's an RPG, it just makes more sense to make the game third person, at least for me. And that's just my opinion, because I literally had all these cool stuff in the game. Like, I got the samurai jacket, you know, all of Johnny's like setup, and I thought I looked freaking cool. And it's just kind of stupid that I only got to really see what my character looked like when I pushed the pause button, you know. Now, that was the big majority of the big things that I didn't like. You know, give or take a few things that I might have left out. But that was the big chunk of all the things that I really did not like in Cyberpunk 2077. In Cyberpunk 2077. Now, moving on to the things that I really liked about the game. It's kind of weird because it's like almost polar opposites. There's things that I really just didn't like about the game, but then on the other side, there's things that I just freaking loved that were just so good, and they did really well. First things first, the story was awesome. So just a quick summarization of the story. You're a merc named V who gets hired for a job with his best friend Jackie, and you guys get hired to steal some sort of robot dude that's like a middleman called a fixer that kind of is like the middleman for bigger clients that want you to do stuff. Anyways, you guys end up stealing some sort of biochip, and things go wrong really fast. You know, bullets are flying and whatnot, and Jackie ends up putting the chip in his head to keep it from malfunctioning, and then Jackie ends up dying and then puts the chip in your head, and on that chip is an engram or a copy of someone's soul, per se, and it's Keanu Reeves' character named Johnny. And up until that point, it's basically you and Johnny, or Keanu Reeves, trying to work your way through to trying to figure out how to save yourself, because the biochip that has Johnny on it is actually killing you and erasing you and putting his soul into your body. So kind of complicated. If you've seen, it was really similar. My wife and I finished watching a while ago. What was that show? The 100. If you guys have seen it, the last season is a good example of, you know, kind of what's going on, where they're basically taking somebody's soul, putting it on a freaking, basically a USB drive, and uploading it to another person's body, so that these people can just live forever. Another TV show that does this, that's actually a lot like this, is shoot, what's it called? Altered Carbon on Netflix. Both of them are have the same idea of what Cyberpunk is trying to do. Altered Carbon is pretty much like Cyberpunk. It's very Cyberpunk themed. But anyways, yeah, so you're going throughout the story trying to save yourself from being erased. And that's a very like summed up version. So yeah, the story was phenomenal. I loved the interaction between you and the characters. That's another thing that CD Projekt Red just really nailed, was just the character development for this game was phenomenal. I loved it. All the characters that you meet, like Panem, freaking, I'm drawing a blank on people's names now. Panem, Judy, like all these different people. Like I really enjoyed, getting to know all these characters, and they really become like your friends and family in the game. And I just really like that, because a lot of other games just like introduce a new character and, like, hey, like I don't really know you kind of thing. But Cyberpunk does a really great job at investing in the character development, which I really, really loved.
Sounds like we could do this.
The main story itself was actually really, really good. And then all the character side stories, I guess they would be side missions, were also really, really good. I really enjoyed all the ones with Johnny Silverhand, which is played by Keanu Reeves. I really actually liked all of Johnny's like flashback, whether they were flashbacks or Johnny taking over your body for a short period of time. Like all those missions were just super fun, and I really liked I don't even know what you'd say, the personality that Keanu Reeves brings to it. He's a very like hardcore punk rocker / anti freaking corporations, and I freaking love his character. It's great. Going on with the story, Cyberpunk actually has multiple endings, and I actually just looked it up here because I literally don't know how many endings, and it says they have 6 endings. Thus far, I've only done 2 endings. It allows you to save right before the final like mission, so I will definitely be going back through and doing the rest of the 4. But the first mission I did just kind of all on my own without like, doing anything special or whatnot is the Panem ending. And you're told that you basically have 6 months to live. And I chose to spend the last 6 months, with the Aldecados, going to Arizona, and potentially just living out the rest of my life with Panem, which is only 6 months. And then the second ending, I did the Arasaka ending, where I agree to be taken back with them, and they agree to put me in the Save Your Soul program type thing, and they go into space and they do all these tests. Basically the result is still the same, that you're still dying, but I signed a contract saying that they'll download me to the freaking cloud, I forget what they called it, and then would be downloaded into a body in the future, whenever that would be. So there's plenty of other endings. I don't know all the other endings, so I'll find out more as I play. But I really like that they have multiple endings. It gives the game a lot of replayability. Another thing that I did enjoy was the weapons. Despite a lot of the enemies being freaking bullet sponges, I did like the way the weapons looked. They were cool. I liked some of like the tech weapons that can like shoot through walls, or like I got one of them upgraded where it would like curve. Almost like reminded me of the Needler in Halo 3, where you can like, it kind of homes in, so like even if they're running I could still shoot people, so that was fun. My favorite weapon was probably the Mantis Blades. Even though I was very disappointed that I couldn't traverse up the walls and whatnot, it was really fun to use the Mantis Blades. Although they were like extremely overpowered, at least I thought. I literally had a legendary pistol that did like, I want to say it was like 500, 600 DPS. I'd have to look at it again. But my Mantis Blades literally only did like 250, and it didn't matter what the DPS was. Like I said earlier, like the gun, they'd be point blank, and I'd have to shoot them like 5 times with the pistol. But if I had the Mantis Blades, I literally just swiped twice, and they were just like, I'm hacking off their limbs and their head, and freaking, the Mantis Blades were fun. I enjoyed the Mantis Blades a lot. It was a cool concept, and I enjoyed it. Another thing that was pretty cool to me was the hacking. It was a little weird to kind of figure out at first, especially like when you're hacking into like things on the wall or like vending machines or computers, because it does like the big box of numbers thing, and the game doesn't really tell you, maybe it does and I skipped it, how to do that, but basically it goes, you know, horizontal, vertical, and you're trying to, you know, match the numbers. Anyways, but that's like the quick hacking. But it was fun doing the quick hacking on the enemies, either stunning them, making them go blind. I never unlocked it, but I know that there's the ability that you can make your enemy's head explode, so that's really cool. I didn't quite get it upgraded that much. I spent a lot more of my upgrade perks or whatever into the blades, because I really love the blades, so that was like my main weapon, is I just sawed everything up. Our next thing that I enjoyed so much in this game was the freaking music was so good. I loved the soundtrack for this entire, despite the game having all these flaws and things like that, the music was just really cool. It was really fitting for the style that you're in, the cyberpunk style, futuristic. It was really fun. Music, top-notch soundtrack, thoroughly enjoyed it. Which kind of segues into my next one, is just the setting of Cyberpunk. I really like the futuristic, kind of grungy, you know, still futuristic. Everyone's got, you know, robot arms and, you know, cybernetic implants, and everyone's trying to enhance their bodies, and it's just, I really like the entire setting. Super, super cool. Love the idea. The whole, like, the world of Cyberpunk that they made, like the CD Projekt made, was just super fascinating, and that's what made me want to explore everything and talk to everyone, and it's just, the world of Cyberpunk just really draws you in, and I love it. With all those things, with the cons and the negatives, you know, I'm trying to like think about what I would rate this at a 10, and honestly, it's difficult, because on one hand, there's like all these glitches and bugs and the boxing and the cars and the cut content that just really like pull this game down. And on top of that, just having it not be finished just really hurts the game, and really hurts me, like, just getting more invested in the game. But then at the same time, like, the story was just so good. I loved this story so much. The characters were so well written. All the endings, the weapons were cool, the setting, the music, just all of it just was so good. So it just really makes me conflicted about what I would rate this. So I guess if I was to rate this when it first came out with all the glitches, I would have gave it like a friggin' like a 3 or something like that, because it was just so unplayable with all the crashes that I just didn't want to play. But I don't know, man. I think, and it kind of pains me a little bit to say this, but I also realize that I'm being a little bit generous when I give this rating. I personally think I would give it a 7 out of 10. 7.5 might be pushing it, but I think a 7 is also pushing it. I originally was going to go higher. Like, it's just so weird, because it's like I see what they were trying to do, and it just, because of all this negative stuff here, it prevented this good stuff from ultimately shining as well as it could have. I think that if they were to have, I don't know why I keep picking this marker up. I think if they were able to release the game that they wanted at a time that they wanted, easily this game would have been a 9 out of 10, possibly even a 10. I mean, if they added all that cut content and made this game, you know, as perfect and polished as I know the developers wanted, easily could have been a 9 or a 10. But because, you know, corporate greed and all the other stuff that goes into this, honestly, 7 out of 10 for me. Now, that doesn't mean that the game can't make a comeback. Talking with some buddies of mine, perfect example is No Man's Sky. I played No Man's Sky when it first came out. I didn't pre-order it, but I bought it, and I was super hyped. All the commercials looked super fun, and the game was literally just a crap fest. I literally hated it so much. Like I always try to give games a chance. So I literally played it for about what was it, like 4 or 5 days. And then I was like, you know what? I just can't play this anymore. And so I went and I returned it, bought something else, got my money back. But I haven't looked at it yet. But I've had lots of friends tell me that No Man's Sky is a phenomenal game now, and I know it won some sort of award at the Game Awards. So, there's hope for CD Projekt Red. I know they're a much bigger company than whoever the frick made No Man's Sky. No, maybe they're not. I don't know who made No Man's Sky. No Man's Sky was made by Hello Games. Never heard of them, but CD Projekt Red is a big company, and they've already, acknowledged a lot of their problems. And so I'm hoping, fingers crossed, hoping that they turn this game around. I know there's another big update coming in March, and a few more. I'll put the, their timeline that they said. I know there's DLC coming, and then towards the end of the year, there's the Xbox Series X and PS5 editions coming out. So we'll definitely review this, give this game another review once all that stuff is finished. But as of right now, like I said, 7 out of 10. Anyways, guys, thanks for watching my video, my review of Cyberpunk 2077. What'd you guys think of the game? What would you rate it? Let me know down in the comments below. And if you guys enjoyed the content, please consider becoming a subscriber. And if you guys are already a subscriber, just want to have a big shout out to you guys. You guys are freaking awesome, and we'll catch you on the next one.